Joining three tables with SQL, a Discord question. Hi everybody, this is Sam with Python Basics, and in today's video you can tell from the title we're going to be jumping back with SQL, and we're going to be working with how to join three tables, and this actually comes from a question on the Discord server. So that is why it's so important. If you have not joined with the link down below, go ahead and do that and jump over there, and there's somebody there always willing and able to answer questions. But first of all, just kind of want to share, if you've not checked out this book, because these are the three tables we're going to be using. It's from the SQL for Data Scientists. I highly encourage you, if you are interested in learning SQL, this is what I have found to be the absolute best communication, the best instruction, completely holistic. It even has a database that you can download and put on your own system. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. So the tables that we're going to be working with are going to be using the vendor booth assignments, the vendor table, and the customer purchases table. So, all right, what the question was is how to get three tables to join together. So we're just going to kind of lay out the structure of everything, and then you can go through and of course just isolate what you need. So the standard is just like this. So we start here, and then we're going to join. And then, join, then vendor. So here we are. So right here, what you need to be aware of is how you're going to join these. So I think you can see this right here. So first, you need to know which columns you're going to join on. So let's look at vendor. So we have vendor ID here. So we have vendor ID and vendor, and then the other one is vendor assignment, vendor booth assignment. And as we see here, we have vendor ID. So we're gonna join these two, and here's another keyword, on. So you call and we have this first, so it's just best practice. Booth assignments dot vendor ID. Now in SQL, this is where you're joining. So this is similar to what you're used to in Python. So this is where you're connecting. You're connecting this column with this column. So it's kind of like our data, our object, and our variable. So as you can see, this structure: vendor booth assignments, and vendor ID and vendor ID. Now where it gets interesting is you are going to have something like, you're going to know that the data is going to be the same, but the columns may not. You will, whatever that column is named in that table, that's the one you use. So when you get more advanced and the more you deal with things, you're going to have columns. And if you haven't already, you're going to very soon. You're going to have columns that are going to be named the same, and you're going to need to spend time researching. So now, this is where it gets a little interesting, and what I want to take a minute to draw your attention to this. This is the equivalent. You've just created a new table. So it will be the exact same instructions. So this is one table. So after you have from, join, and on, you've now turned all of this into one table. So if you're going to join another table, it is right after this with this syntax, because again, you just created a new table right here. Now, where this gets interesting, so now for some good information, we're going to use columns from customer purchases. Okay, so here's vendor ID, and you can get too much information. I call it over joining, where you can join and get too much data. So there is times where you need to join on two separate columns. So now let's join in our customer purchases, and then on, and as we saw, customer purchases has vendor, so we're going to use our first vendor booth assignments dot vendor ID equals customer purchases dot vendor ID, and I think we can see all this. Yes. Now, also you can have, like I said, overfitting, where you can have too many records. So we're also going to be using from vendor booth assignments the market date, and then let's see, market date from customer purchases and booth assignments market date. So here we go. So vendor booth assignments market date equals customer purchases market date. And now you can see all of that. And then we run this and we get all of the rows of data joining 3 tables with every single bit of data that we need. Now, you can go back and clean this up. And if you were to do this, and you could have an issue where you need to distinguish which vendor ID comes from which table. So if you have some redundant, so right here we have vendor ID, vendor ID, vendor ID, and market date and market date. And everything else, you could just call it that column name. But I can't remember if with MySQL Workbench if you do it, but I know with BigQuery with Google, you have some ambiguity, so it's repeating itself. So you want to be explicit in what you do and name the table in which you want the column to come from. So this is the basic structure. So let's revisit this for a second. So this, when you join a table and you join tables, creating a new table, this is the structure of your new table. So then if you're going to join 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it is after, just like we did here, we joined a table to a table right after the from. So then that would be your new table, and then you just repeat. And if you need, and if you know you have records that you're like, this is way too many records and I cannot, you may possibly need to include a second condition of upon which to join to make sure you're not over joining and getting duplicate records or more records that aren't exactly accurate. So there we go. If you have any questions about this, please drop them down below, or really consider joining the Discord server because this is where this question came from. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. I hope you really enjoyed today's video. And if you haven't, check out this video right here or this one right down here. And most important, make sure you're hitting this subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Bye guys.